Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how you can improve text in your montages. Basically, whenever you track text onto a cinematic, I want to show you steps I take to improve the shot to make it look a little better and stand out more. So I'm just going to run through this in one take, but there's going to be lots of little tips along the way, so make sure you check it out. There's all these little basically effects and things I apply just to make it come to life and look more realistic and just overall a better shot. So first, we have our angle here. This is one of the angles I got for my shine montage I did for the community. And the first thing we're going to do within this angle is I'm going to right click, pre-compose. Let's go move all attributes, or leave all attributes, my bad. And then in our new one, I like to go right to the beginning. So make sure in our original composition here, double click on it right when I'm at the beginning. I like to go back one, which is page up. Click on it, Control Shift D to cut and delete the first half. I always go back one frame just to be safe. Again, going to my original composition, I'll actually go to the end, double click, and I go forward 2 frames, which is page down, Control Shift D, delete that. That way I have like 2 extra frames. They're called handles in VFX, just to play around with to be safe. So I have my shot here, and first we need to get our tracking. So I'm gonna go camera, and you're gonna see 3D camera tracker, and I'll probably speed up through this, but I just place it on there and I'm gonna let it analyze. Alright, so it's finished tracking, and I like to just play through, find a good area. So obviously I want to track somewhere around here, and you could just see if maybe you can get a track around here, but I find this wall is probably more consistent for what I'm looking for. So let's grab, if I just click and drag, I can grab a bunch of them. So I'm grabbing all these trackers, I'm going to right click and go create null and camera. Now that it's there, I actually like to click on the layer and turn off the 3D tracker just because it kind of freaks out a few times. Now let's test just to see if the tracking worked. So we're going to write test, and it's blue for some reason. We're going to change it to white. I'm hitting my align tool, so you have that window open, it brings it into the center. Just nice to have. So I want to just test how good the 3D tracking is. I'm going to delete the beginning part of the text. Doesn't really matter, you don't have to do that, but I'm going to make the layer 3D. Then I'm going to bring down the link or parent and go to track null. Now I'm going to press P on my text layer, put all of the P positions, or the positions I should say, X, Y, and Z positions to 0. That way it should be tracked right exactly where that was. Now let's play with it a bit. So I'm going to hold Shift and go scale, or click S, brings up the scale, and you can see it's kind of wonky the way it is here. Again, hold Shift and hit R, bring up rotate, and let's try to make it look somewhat in the scene. So I'm going to play with it a bit. Now I'm going to click on the X axis. You'll see here, you can just click anywhere and drag it, but that doesn't follow along one of the axes. So I'm going to undo that, Control Z. Now if I click directly on the X axis where it says X pops up, I can move it where I want it to go. If you're finding it's moving too slow, you can hold Shift and move a lot faster, but for this one here, it's moving fine at this speed. Let's make this a little larger just to see. And I'm bringing it down by clicking on the Y. Just play with it here, and let's just see how well it tracked. So it looked like it tracked perfectly, honestly. It looks a little crazy when it gets up close there, because we're just warping it. So let's bring this closer to the camera, holding Z, bringing it closer. And I'm going to bring the scale down a little. This is me again, just playing with it, trying to get it to fit in the scene how I want it. Yeah, say that's how I want the text in the screen for now. So that's simply just default After Effects. I mean, everything in this tutorial is going to be default, but look how simple that was. That was really fast. Probably did that under 5 minutes. Now we're going to walk through the steps to make it better. So it's a little big, but we tested exactly where we kind of want it and how it goes there. So what I'm going to do now, instead of using this layer or this text as the actual text, we're going to go composition, new composition. Now I'm going to make my own, let's just say, and let's just change the font to the second one, you know, mix it up a bit. Having different fonts is very good to like kind of just add to the whole shot. Even here, it's not the best, but just to, I mean, that's the first step, is making the text a little bit more interesting. You can see here, I mean, just basic text is very boring. Now what we can do before we even play with it more, if we want to actually just see it consistently on here, I go project and I grab my comp 2. I haven't named them at all, but I mean, it's here. And I'm not actually a fan of how this text looks, so we are going to change it. But for now, just as an example, we're going to put it here. Again, on our actual layer, we're going to, or on the composition layer, we're going to make it 3D. track it to the null object. And what we're gonna do is actually copy the position and the rotation exactly, well, I guess, and the scale from the other one, because we've already set up the test one where we want it. So I can just click in position, copy, paste. Oh, backward, I'm doing it backwards. Undo that. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. I mean, you can type it out, but that'd be boring to get the exact numbers. It would be annoying anyways. So orientation stays the same. Rotation for the X is 32. Rotation for the Y is minus 28. And now it should be in the exact same spot as the other one, but boy, is that way too big. So the scaling's a little different. Let's just get rid of our actual text one now. That was our test. Let's put this here. And yeah, that's ugly text, so we're gonna play around with it more. I was hoping just to quickly do it for a tutorial, but I mean, we gotta make it look better than that. That looks terrible. But it's tracked where we wanted it to, so let's play around with this here. Let's go track text. Let's put this one to that font that we have for the first one. Quicksand. Just play around with it until you get something you like. Try to quickly go through this. Now I have, you can see on the side here, these are text animations that I could just simply, as an example, slap on if I'm selecting text. Something like this. And it automatically has like a cool one coming in. I mean, it's less effort, and really when you're freelance editing, you want nice and fast ones. But I'm just gonna assume you guys don't have that. If you want to find that, look up the website Video Hive, and that's where I purchased one of those. But let's just do it on our own here. So right around here is when we see the better tracked part. So let's go to where it is here. And I'm just gonna do a simple effect showing you can kind of do anything you want, but I'm just gonna literally make it build itself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm gonna go 12 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And my thing did an auto save in the middle, so we're probably all messed up. But whatever, this will be close enough. Bring it down, find where my text is. And again, you can do any text effect for this, but I'm going to do it as the text building itself. Just as an example, is you need some, like the text doing something. It can't just be sitting there. You need a subtle flicker, a subtle fade, a subtle blur, it building itself. I mean, any kind of effect you can get. You can see on the side here, I always have some crazy effects on these. So I'm just going 1 frame back and deleting one. 1 frame back, and no, don't click that one, and deleting one. That way it's setting a keyframe, because I set a keyframe earlier on source text, and it's recognizing, okay, now the source text has changed, so I'll add a new keyframe. This one we'll go back to, get rid of that space. So it goes like that, and that goes like really fast. Obviously it's kind of annoying. So what I can do is scale in, select them all, hold, let's see, is it control? No, hold alt, and you can drag and it'll keep the spacing consistent, which is very nice. So I can build it like that. Here, I got another idea for the text, or like the literal word text is what I'm talking about. We'll keep the top half like that. Let's go layer. This is just a simple one you guys can do. Let's go layer solid, go okay, cover that. Now what I'm gonna do is hide it, click on my text layer, and go layer, auto trace. You can see it created these masks. What I'm gonna do is hit M to bring up all the masks under the auto trace layer, select them all, copy, then go onto my white text and paste them on there. I can get rid of my auto trace layer. You can even hide our white text for now. You can see this is what it made. Obviously not that good, but that's okay. We're gonna just use it for something. So these are just the masks. And what we're gonna go into now, let's go stroke and their effects, and you can use generate stroke. And let's go on transparent. You see it's just doing the one, so you can go all masks. All masks, if I could click, there we go. Now it's really ugly, so we're just gonna make it do something fast. Let's say around here. So let's have the hardness at 100. And let's have the end to 0. Go 20 frames over, and it goes to the end. And let's see, bring up U on your keyframes, and let's select our 2 keyframes for the stroke and hit F9 to make it easy ease. So it builds it, but it's very ugly when it builds, right? So what we're gonna do is, let's doing it one at a time. I thought I would do it all at the same time. That's interesting to learn. But what we're gonna do is click on this, which is our original actual text layer. We're going to go mask, grab this here, and we're going to bring it above the text. Let's say as it's like partway built, or right at the end, I'm going to add a mask path, go 10 frames, bring it down, and easy ease that. And then we need to hide the ugly strokes because it looks so ugly. So we'll go T to bring up transition, or sorry, our opacity. And just when it starts appearing, let's actually make this disappear. So this was quickly done, just showing you need, or just really telling you need some kind of effect for the text. So we can do something like this. Even that looks bad, so let's bring up, let's have this start earlier. Okay, so it's just doing something there, just so it's not stationary text. So there, at least it's on there and it has something going for it. Now, one thing I'm going to add to it, just to add to the scene to make it a little more realistic, is I'm going to add dust. And luckily we've already tracked the scene, or tracked the camera, because I'm going to utilize that camera. Now it's better when it's going side to side. This is going forward, so hopefully it doesn't look too bad, but let's see here. We want small dust particles because of what we're doing. I've already have my dust particles here. You should, I mean, you can find any of your own online. Again, I use Video Hive to find these ones, and I'll just find, let's say 4. Let's use this one here. So I'm going to go at the end of the scene and then make that 3D. Either way, I want to back this up in the scene. Rotate it, and I'm just going to kind of copy how I had it for the text. Something like this. I'm bringing the back. I'm going to change it to screen. Let it render. So it's very rough. Obviously, you saw the mask wasn't that good. You can see there's issues here. The first step is getting it in the right position, and then I'll worry about this mask. So what we're going to do now is fix this issue here. So let's go something like this. I'm going to why is it not letting me place? Chill, computer, let me place this. Oh, okay. We're just going to be like this. So in this mask, we're going to subtract it, and I'm going to feather it a ton. So let's go like 65. That way I can hide the ones that were here. And they should look a little better. Yeah, it looks like we go in towards the dust. Okay, so I had to play with it a bit. Each tracking is different, and you literally do and are going to have to play with it all the time. But there, that one looks pretty good. I'm actually even going to make it get more transparent as we get closer, because it doesn't look that good up when it's like this big, right? So let's put it to 50%, and let's just see something like that. Just add a little character to our scene, and it's tracked, so it looks like it's, I mean, it's really in there. That's two things. We've had the text move, and now we have dust in the shot just to add to it. Now what we're gonna do is actually change the colors, because I kind of like when it's somewhat transparent with the text, because I find that kind of adds to the 3D trackedness of it, if that's the way to say it, because you can see through it and it just makes it look nice. So we need to play with some colors here. So we're going to keep better tracked as white, and we'll just change text itself to something else. So I'm going to type in fill. Let's put it on the text file, and we could see red. Let's say this color red. I'm going to copy this. Actually, never mind. I'm just going to copy the fill effect and put it on the tracked as well. Now let's go open this up. One thing I usually like to do for blend modes is classic color dodge. You see something like this. You can even see the stroked text. So let's go see what's going on there. It was very quiet. So let's make the stroked text bigger. Let's go 5. See if it shows up on here. Yeah, it shows up there. Now to make it more visible, I think we need to make the red lighter color or a brighter colored red. So let's play with that. Say something like this. Again, I'm just showing you, you really have to play around with everything. There's no simple tutorial just to do it all. You have to play with it to find what you like. See, there we go. I was right on that. So it looks a little better there and it comes to life. I think it's too big, so let's scale it down. Like it if it's a little smaller because we're going to get all the way up there. But it looks pretty good. You could make these two separate things and have one of them closer in Z space. As an example, like just pretend, wow, when I stack it, the color looks sick. Actually, I might even keep that. But let's just pretend better tracked is in the back and then just text is forward. And you get the idea, like you can have them move through Z space a little different. I mean, I'm not doing that, but that's an example. Now what we're gonna do is add a shadow. So for this, the first thing I do is click on this, Control D to duplicate it. I grab the bottom one here, and I'm gonna move it straight down. Before I rotate it, I'm just gonna grab the exact Y-axis and go down here. Now, under my rotates, I have to find out which one it is, because it's all over the place. Looks like it's gross, it's a combination of all of them. So sometimes it's nice and easy to rotate it, but it looks like this one is not going to be one of those times. So I have to just literally play with it until I get it looking somewhat like it's on the ground. So yeah, you can see it's a little bit annoying. You can see the text, or the shot I should say, moving underneath it. So it doesn't look that realistic. So we're just going to make this a little more hidden in the background. So what we do here is I'm going to go fill again. And change it completely to black. Now let's change the mode to normal so we can actually see it. Now let's go blur. And I'm not sure it matters which blur. I sometimes just go fast blur, but let's try Gaussian blur on this one. And let's just crank it up a bit. So we can go something like this. And let's change the opacity to, let's say, 40%. And is it even noticeable at 40%? Very subtle, but I find the subtleness makes it look better. I'm one of those people, if it's too much, it might look fake, because, I mean, it is fake, right? So, let's see, if I put it to 55% instead of 45, you can see it, and yeah, good enough. So now I'm also going to play with the focus. We're going to go Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. I'm going to make sure that my dust is actually on top of this, because I want the dust to be just in focus the whole time. Now I'm going to make the mask. I start with just a rectangle to be nice and simple, but we'll play with it here. So I'm going to have it where the foreground is in focus. And then as we move, everything's going to become in focus. And we'll still have actually just like the foreground's the only thing fully in focus still. And then when it gets to about this part, it's all going to be in focus. So even though I have my mask right here, I'm just going to change the blur. So let's grab our camera lens blur. And for this one, we're going to have to click repeat edge pixels because there are edge pixels. And we're going to have to blur a bunch because you can actually just see a line right here between the two. So let's go mask and let's put it at 65 again. So it blurs it. Looks like it isn't blurred enough. Let's go 100. Let's have until about here. All right, this looks way better. Oh, I gotta play with the mask a bit more. I want this to be down like this. You see how that actually looks like it's in the shot because now the blur, by blur I mean camera focus, is actually matching it. So let's have it go from here to here where the blur, I keep saying the blur, but the camera focus is going to go from a 5 to a 0. Hit U to bring up your keyframes, and let's just slide it a little further. I'm going to put it at half speed, and I'll render it. This way, the dust is above it, so the dust is still in focus, because you can, I mean, realistically think the dust is closer to the camera and in focus since the camera is focusing on the foreground, and the background's out of focus there, and it shifts its focus to the center, which is nice that the shot already had depth of field in it from when I recorded it. because of, I mean, NVIDIA Shadow Play or NVIDIA... Oh, the lines are looking crazy on that. You see that? My computer's freaking out. The lines look a little crazy. Well, I mean, it adds to it. But I have a tutorial on how you can get, I mean, like the depth of field in the back of this shot that is already there. So just look that up on my channel if you don't know how that works. All right, let's see how it looks. So boom, it looks really good. It looks like it's actually in the shot. You can even have it after it built itself, maybe delete itself or take away right there. And the lines kind of even add to it. One thing you could add to the shot, I'm not really going to do much now, but if you go back into your text layer, you could get like a gritty wood texture or a rock texture and put it behind it and make it like its track, like its alpha track, so that the texture is on here and moving. Or you could even do a bit here. Let's go noise. We'll do it actually on this. So I'm going to click my text layer, the top one here, and go noise or grain, I guess. Grain might be what we're looking for. No, noise, same idea. Let's have it go 40%, which is like way too much. So let's go 15%, just to add a little bit to it. What does it look like full quality? Yeah, something like that. But you could do fractal noise and have it slightly moving in the background. You don't want to do too much so it looks cheesy, but you want to make it look good. So now, after we've done all that, also you could add dust moving, but it doesn't look as good. Or not dust, or fog or smoke, but I find it's a lot simpler to kind of cheat it with the dust particles. Let's go back to our original composition. So this is our original one here. This has everything already inside it. Now what we're going to do is something I do on all my tutorials, I'm sure you all know by now, is we're going to add some camera shake. So let's type in wiggle, grab wiggle position and wiggle rotation, hold shift, grab both of them, put it on here. It's going to freak out. We're going to change the wiggle amount. Actually, we'll change this, keep the speed at 1, but the position amount to 10. We're going to change the speed of the rotation to 0.5 and the amount to 2. Now let's just play with the scale. So we have it moving inward. So we could do like a vertigo where I actually am like scaled in a little further. Let's say 121. And then at the end, we go down to 110. Just do that because we need some room for the wiggle. That might look too crazy. Let's calm this down to 115. And let's play with the rotation just for fun too, because now we have the space to work with. Let's say a -2. And we finish on a +1. Sure. Let's render it out and see what it looks like. Dust particles don't look the best, so you could fade them in more. I kind of just start with them there. But if you have them fade on, it might hide the fact that, I mean, it is just a 2D layer tracked on here, and we're trying to make it look like it's 3D in the shot. You could go crazy with the particle world, particle effects in After Effects to really do it nice. But again, this is just a quick example of faking it and making it look good. Boom, look at that. We have 3D text tracked on this layer, and it's more interesting than just placing regular text there. So there, a simple rundown. I mean, I dragged this video on really long because I kind of was going with it and showing you that, I mean, each thing is tweaked and changed depending on your shot and the situation. And I was kind of making up some of it as I go, because that's the way it is when you're in After Effects and you're playing around with things. But the point is, you need the text to be moving. It's a good idea to have 2 different fonts, have 2 different colors. I like when they're somewhat transparent so you can see through it like this, but I mean, it's up to you. You don't have to do that. But I'm having it build, you can have it take away. And then I like the dust particles, honestly. I think it helps. Some people might not, but you could have some kind of other particle or item tracked. You could have another image tracked and maybe have, like, say the Halo gun, like the sniper he's carrying is tracked, but it's moved forward in Z space, or I mean, whatever it is to bring forward here, just to have multiple elements tracked within there to make the scene come to life. The camera shake just really makes it feel like it's within the scene because you're shaking after it's already been tracked and consistent and stable there. And it all comes together just to make it look more realistic. There's tons of other things you can do with it. You could add motion blur, like real smart motion blur to help with the tiles here. You don't have to add the camera focus change that I did, but I mean, it looks great. So sorry this was the long one, dragged on a bit, but I find there's some really good tools or ideas in there that you can add to your 3D text and your montages. So thanks guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.